Alright, welcome back to our series on user-defined functions. This is going to be our last video, and I thought it would be a good idea if we did a more complicated example. So on the screen here we have a simple table on renting a car and the cost in renting a car. So what we're going to do in this example is we're going to create a function called cost. We're going to set the file name equal to rental, and there's going to be two inputs. The first one is class. That's going to be the class of car, where class 1 is a little bit cheaper, class 2 is maybe a little bit more luxurious, and then we're going to have day as the second input. Day is going to represent the number of days in the rental period. So we're going to calculate the cost of renting a car according to the price schedule below. We'll say that there's going to be an extra 3% fee at the very end. If the rental period is longer than 60 days, we're going to display an error message saying the rental is not available for more than 60 days. So let's open up MATLAB and we'll create a new script. We'll clear our command window, make sure that there's nothing there, so we have something clean to work with. And at the very beginning, we're going to say function. We have to start all of our user-defined functions with this word. And we're going to say cost. That's the output. We don't need square brackets around it because we're only asking for a single output. If we want more than one, then yes, we have to put the brackets around it. So we'll say the name of the function is rental. The first input will be class, the second input will be day. And we can put some basic comments in here. This function calculates the cost of renting a car. It can be as simple as that. Remember, this is just the main header line. Everything we put after is where we can put all the details. So we can say cost is equal to rental, class, comma, day. Will calculate the cost of renting a car based on the quality requested by the user and the number of days expected for the car to be rented. Then we can say that our outputs will simply be cost, final fee due by the user, 3% added to final, and then we can say that our inputs are class, options of 1 or 2, and we'll say luxury, we'll say basic versus luxury. And then we can say day up to 60 days. Longer than 60 days is not permitted. Okay, I think this is a good enough explanation here on what this function will do. Now, before we get into the calculations, we want to put some checks in here. We want to make sure that, one, we don't enter the number of days being more than 60. And when we look at the class, there's only two options, option 1 or option 2. You might want to imagine that a user may accidentally enter the number 4 or -1 or 0. So we want to put some checks in here to make sure that they're giving us the right information that we need to calculate the car. So why don't we start with a Nargen check? Nargen check's a really good way, just right off the bat, do we have the right number of inputs? So we're going to say we definitely need 2 inputs and we don't want any more than 2 inputs. So even though it's the same, we want to make sure that we cover our bases. We can say if day is greater than 60, error. Rentals are not allowed beyond 60 days. Something like that. Nope. Got an extra parentheses there. So we've done 2 things so far. We've verified that the number of inputs is 2, and we verified that the number of days is not greater than 60. Whenever MATLAB sees the error function, it will automatically close the function. It will not execute any lines of code that come after this. So now we want to verify that the class is only 1 or only 2. We can't accept 0, we can't accept 3, we can't accept any other number. So we'll say if, well, let's do a not class equal to 1 or class equal to 2, we can say error, incorrect class type. And there we go. MATLAB now has all of the checks that it needs to verify 1, we have the right number of inputs, 2, we're not trying to rent a car for more than the 60-day period, and 3, that the user only entered the possibilities of class 1 or class 2. Now let's go back to our table and start breaking down what these different costs are. So we're saying if the rental is 1 to 7 days, it's $28 per day for class 1 or $35 per day per class 2. So why don't we start with class 1? We'll say if class is equal to 1, and then we can say if day is less than or equal to 7, that our cost is equal to the number of days times 28. Else if the day is between 8 and 30, so we'll say less than or equal to 30, our cost is equal to, it'll be $175 for 8 days and $25 for each additional day. So we'll say 175 plus day minus 8 times 25. Else if, we'll say, well, I guess we can use an else now, right? Because there's only one other option. And that'll be $725 for 31 days and then $23 for each additional day. So we'll say 725 plus day minus 31, I think we said times 23. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. All right, I'll add some spacing in here just because it looks a little bit cleaner. And then we'll close the first end. And our only other option then is going to be the class 2. So we'll copy this and we'll just change the numbers around. So for class 2, that daily rate is $35 per day. So we'll change this one to 35. Else if less than 30, it's $245 for 8 days, then $31 per day. Oh, sorry about that. And then for more than 31 but less than 60, our cost is going to be $825 and then $28 a day. Okay, now I think the only other thing we're missing now that we're going to get a total cost before our fee is to add the fee. So cost will be cost times 1.03. That's our 3% that we're going to add. So okay, now we'll go ahead and we'll hit the Save As button, and it should automatically come up as rental. So we'll save it. Rental now exists. We can essentially close the functions, and let's try it. We'll say cost is equal to rental, and we'll say class 2 for 47 days, and it returns, it's in scientific notation, but looks like maybe $1,311. Let's try it again with adding some different options. Now we said that the max days was 60. So if we put in a second input of 63, MATLAB should come back with an error informing the user that rentals greater than 60 days is not permitted. And there we are. We have an error that we created that says exactly what we asked it to. Rentals are not allowed beyond 60 days. Now, let's go back to a reasonable amount of days. We'll say 57, but we're going to change our class to something that's not a 1 or a 2. We'll say class 5. Incorrect class type. We can also only put in a single input. MATLAB will come back and say you don't have enough inputs. So this proves not only that our function will work and can be used, but that all of the checks that we put in place are accurate.